So, after the half anniversary digest, I thought I'd take a moment to cover some of the new mechanics introduced and give my thoughts on how they're going to affect the game moving forward. Let's do this chronologically and start with Gala Alex. Her abilities are all straightforward, so let's talk about her skills. It's only found in the banner preview on the news, but Gala Alex is going to handle SP a little bit differently, and instead of charging individual skills, she's going to charge what is called a skill reservoir. The skill reservoir will have 3 levels, and using either of her skills will cost a level. It's kind of like the skills have the same SP cost, like Makoto. However, this means that you can pop 3 skills off in a row, which ties into the chain mechanic her skills have. This is also kind of like Makoto's timed skill shift. After Alex uses a skill, there will be a short period of time in which using another skill will have multiple bonus effects. First, it will deal more damage. Second, a chain skill will remove an enemy buff if they have one. Also, if an enemy has no buffs but is in the break state, it'll deal extra damage. That's not an exaggeration, it's based on how the text reads. Also, either skill can be used to chain. The mods will probably look similar on both skills, but her first skill reduces defense and her second skill inflicts poison. It's also possible that only the first skill in the combo will inflict poison or defense down depending on which one you use. She has Punisher for both, but each skill seems to only apply extra damage to its own debuff. Like, the poison skill only deals extra damage to poison foes, not defense down ones. I'll skip the login bonuses, summoning stuff, clear rewards, social rewards, packs, and triple drops since that's all straightforward. The boss in Scars of the Syndicate is a reskin of Fraganoth, but it's important to remember that Thanatos was a Hypnos reskin and was still a fun and different raid boss, as well as my personal favorite antagonist in the game. Next up is chain co-abilities and the co-ability change. The big upside to the change is that you no longer have to rely on others in the co-op lobby to have the right co-abilities, and if you are doing something like a 4-Glio speedrun of Expert High Jupiter, you no longer only have overlapping co-abilities and can get some critical rate and strength in there. The major downside to this is that the distribution of resources to max co-abilities is no longer scattered among players, and you now have to max 4 characters to get the same effects you could previously pull off with maxing 1. You can circumvent this by only maxing 1 of each co-ability type, but then you are likely going to miss out on the chain co-abilities, which are mostly element specific. However, all content can presently be cleared without it, and reducing co-ability overlap is more than an acceptable trade-off for that specific loss. Other factors to consider from chain co-abilities are what characters' strengths are. 70 Mana Circle Yuden can benefit from Verica and Gala Mim both having Dragon Claws with his own Super Dragon Haste. Elisan can benefit from buff time chain co-abilities. There are a lot of options, but make sure to consider all of them to the best of your ability before committing, as you will now be investing in certain units for a niche aspect that may only be used for a specific character. For better or worse, a lot of units seem to have elemental resistance as their chain co-ability. The event compendium is nice for players who haven't seen the event before, but veterans probably won't touch it too much. Fafnir medals are also straightforward, but I'd like to point out that Hikage is probably the Fafnir's High Dragon Tail dealer, as he has a history of being a conniving swindler. Next up is the skill update. I've heard a lot of other people say it's kinda useless since you can't use a helper skill or weapon skill, but there is actually a lot of merit to this feature. First of all, I previously thought that skill haste was a useless ability as one of the inherent ones on a character, since SP costs were by character, and the skills could have just been cheaper with a different ability instead. However, if SP costs on skills from others stay the same, this means that the skill haste as a first or third ability makes that skill charge a bit faster. It's not much, but it's something. But back to the big issue at hand, that it prevents the usage of weapon skills and helper abilities. While skills like the Agito buffs are really good, I only agree with this to an extent. Losing a helper skill in single player is pretty huge, as well as potentially having the drawbacks of taking the skill from a teammate. However, this could be very potent in multiplayer. Think of this. Instead of an Agito 20% strength buff from the Fire Sword on Yuden, imagine if he could use Emma's 25% strength buff, charging it quickly with 4 strikes using Dread King Rathalos. Now imagine all 4 members of the team having this skill and buffing everyone for a total of 100% strength. That's what Gala Cleo currently does and was the main broken part of her kit. However, they did mention that skill sharing would have limitations, and this could be handled in a couple ways. It could either be limited to the same weapon class, which would make skill animations stay the same, or it could be limited to roles, so attack units can only use skills from other attack units, similar with support, defense, and healer. Or they might only allow non-attacking skills, as that would remove the issue of awkward animations. They also announced that defense battles would become a core event type, which is nice. With the amount of power we are now walking into, the current selection of content doesn't really stand a chance. They really should have released weapon and dragon augments now, as it would slot right into the current power transition. The encyclopedia is nice. For Agito fights, Ciella's element is either water or dark, but based on most of the colors being black or white, as well as the blindfold, I'm personally leaning toward dark. As for the twins Ayaha and Otaha, hope I'm pronouncing those right, I think they're going to be a character foil to Laxi. Where Laxi is two souls sharing one body in Discord, I think the twins will be united in harmony, possibly sharing a soul, and that they believe that peace is achieved when everyone is dead. As for the story, Chapter 14 looks amazing from a gameplay standpoint. The panel on the left shows an army just rushing the player. Remember, the Sword 4-Strike has knockback, and the Overdrive Bar isn't Xander's only preferred dining location. I have little to add on the Fire Emblem event other than I hope they do justice to the characters with their mana spirals. Hawk is my favorite character by design, and they just gave him a DPS boost and poison meta slap-on, so I hope the Fire Emblem characters get some cool and unique stuff. That's all for now. Let me know what you think in the comments, or feel free to join my Discord and discuss things there. Sadly, we are not offering free food at this time, but I can at least lend an ear to listen.